Dana, you were one of the lead trainers and facilitators throughout the PeakED Regional Youth Camp in Jordan. How would you describe the overall vision behind this initiative?
The vision of the PeakED Regional Youth Camp was to empower young people, that they become active participants towards a sustainable future and also active participants towards their community. We had 5 workshops which were connected with each other, and we hoped to kind of raise their awareness and understanding about like environmental issues, especially in like the mountain region, and to find out together how we can all contribute to a more sustainable future together. And the nice thing about these workshops was that the participants didn't just sit there and listen, but we actually went out and saw on the ground the realities and talked to people, so that was really nice.
The first workshop focused on mountain identity and community asset mapping. In SALT, why was it important to begin with identity and community?
It was important to begin with identity and community because you can't care for something you don't feel connected to. And that's why we wanted to like build some kind of connection and a feeling of belonging within the participants, so they can feel some kind of like motivation to do something, and to kind of also just connect emotionally and culturally within the mountains, the environment, the nature, and the people and communities there. In Salt, we went to a farm, which was really nice, and we saw springs and like heritage areas, and we also talked to local farmers, and they told us about their realities, the struggles they're having, and that was really like insightful. And this community asset mapping was like really nice and really beneficial because it kind of shifted perspectives from kind of, okay, what do communities lack, to what strength do they already have. And I think that was really valuable to see that there's already a lot of like assets within the environments, and we just have to use them and kind of protect them as well.
And one of the camp's strongest themes was youth participation and governance. What were the key lessons from Workshop 2?
So Workshop 2 challenged the participants to rethink governance itself. One common sentiment that we come across is that young people often feel excluded from like decision-making processes, and their views are kind of not being asked for. But or that's what the feeling that can rise among these contexts. But what we find out that there are actually ways to participate. You just need to find them. And especially regarding environmental issues, it's really important to have like young people being part of the conversation. And for example, in the workshops, we explored how NGOs, businesses, municipalities, youth groups, they all can work together, and how there can also be like shared goals everybody can work towards together. So that was really insightful. And also we kind of try to kind of empower young people to see that they have a voice and they can use their voice, and even though it might be not visible at first glance, but there are spaces where they can definitely share and raise their voices. So that was like basically what we did in Workshop 2.
Climate change and resilience were the central themes of the third workshop. What stood out most during those discussions?
I think what stood out most was the realization that mountains are like very deeply connected with everyday life in Jordan, also within the city. We wanted to like show to the participants that the mountains are not like kind of distant landscapes, but are directly linked to like, for example, water security, biodiversity, agriculture, and also the well-being in cities, in like urban environments. And that the resilience of mountains is also important to us. And we also discussed, for example, that in Jordan, the mountains are warming faster and there are like increasing droughts and flash floods. And that makes like local realities like more difficult with climate change. And we kind of wanted to raise awareness about that topic. And also what we also talked about was like kind of that was like more of the visible like ecosystems, but also the invisible ones, for example, like soil and water microbiomes, which are also very important and essential for resilience, but are often overlooked. And like generally speaking, with that workshop, we wanted to kind of the participants to understand that the resilience, it's not just about the infrastructure and like technology and whatever, but it's also like about community awareness, about ecosystem, the health, that everything is connected to each other and everything is relevant for making decisions for our future.
Innovation and entrepreneurship played a major role in Workshop 4. How did participants respond to these themes?
Workshop 4 was nice because participants moved now from the state of like identifying problems to actually designing solutions. We introduced the concept of entrepreneurship, not just simply as like, okay, we're starting a business, but we wanted to like show the participant that it starts with a mindset of creativity and like a mindset of problem solving, and that's also entrepreneurship. We explored Jordanian examples, and we even had a participant who kind of made like a circular economy initiative using olive waste, which was really interesting. During the workshop, we designed thinking exercises and wanted to encourage participants to really prototype practical solutions to real-world problems. For example, solutions related to waste management, for example, sustainable agriculture, renewable energy. And that was really interesting. And one thing I really wanted to emphasize during the session was that innovation does not require that you need to have the perfect idea from the start or like a super large budget and a lot of money. But I wanted to emphasize that it really starts small in like community-based ideas and rooted in like local realities and a local context, and that it's like it starts small and then has the potential to grow bigger, and it doesn't have to be perfect.
The final workshop brought participants into direct environmental action through the Food Forest Initiative and SALT. Why was this field activity important?
That workshop was important because the participants like actually physically engaged in the environment they want to protect. And again, like this also strengthened the connection to the nature and the environment and their surroundings. The Food Forest Initiative, we did this because we wanted to kind of strengthen the biodiversity in the region, and for that we allowed the participants to plant native cactus species and explore sustainable ecosystem restoration practices firsthand and really like hands-on as well. And that was important because native plants can like play a big role in biodiversity and like ecosystem restoration and stuff. And for example, these species, they can strengthen biodiversity, stabilize soil, and also improve the drought resilience. So that was really important. And with this field activity, we wanted to show to the participants that environmental resilience is not something abstract. It can be really hands-on, and it also can be something that is built through collective effort, patience, and like long-term commitment.
The workshop also included a transnational dialogue component. How valuable was this international perspective?
That component was really important because it showed that environmental issues are affecting the world everywhere and not just where we live. And it also saw like local challenges as part of like kind of a broader global conversation. And during this transnational dialogue, we kind of also examined initiatives from, for example, India, Morocco, Greece, and participants were able to see different approaches to reforestation, ecotourism, or like biodiversity conversation, and also just like overall community engagement. How can community engagement look in different countries? And it also showed that youth-led and community-driven initiatives can actually create meaningful impact and also kind of support the mission and the environment in like a long-term context. So that was really insightful, and we learned a lot from the other countries.
From your perspective, what was the most inspiring aspect of the Peak Youth Camp, and what message do you want to share?
I think what was most inspiring was to see the development of the participants. At the beginning, many arrived with some kind of like curiosity, but still also some uncertainty about the topic. But then throughout the time, we really saw how they developed some confidence in the topic, how they at some point were like discussing actual solutions, practical ideas, governance models, and also I kind of felt like a commitment to their communities, which was really nice to see. And I just hope that it became clear that sustainability is not just about protecting ecosystems, but it's also about preserving identities, strengthening communities, and kind of creating inclusive opportunities for future generations, which also includes young people. And as a like kind of message which I want to share is that I think it's important to realize that young people have a voice and they have power, and that it's important to not underestimate the voices of young people. Every community, every place has strength and knowledge, and it's just about seeing these strengths and knowledges and to kind of work together to a more sustainable future, and to also use what is already there. And I think that the Peak Youth Camp kind of showed that young people are an important pillar for sustainability, and it's important to trust them and support them and kind of see the possibilities, and to make sure that we all can grow together for a more sustainable future.